Hi, my name is Matthew Bellisario. Welcome to the BellisarioSonic YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be doing a triple shootout on this fantastic album called Sonny Rollins, Way Out West. I've got 3 different pressings, which are all readily available. You can find them online. One's a Japanese press. One is a reissue, OJC reissue. The other one's from the box set that just came out for Craft recording. So I'm going to go ahead and give you those catalog numbers. We're going to talk a little bit about the record briefly. Then I'm going to give you my assessment on my thoughts about the 3 different pressings. Now this particular record is interesting. Sonny Rollins starts recording around in the early 50s. And this particular record, Way Out West, was recorded in 1957. So Sonny Rollins is just a mere 25 years old when he records this record. Still getting his footing, still growing as a musician, still not satisfied with his playing, yet this is a fantastic record. Now this follows on the heels of the 1956 albums Tenor Madness and Saxophone Colossus, which are both fantastic records. This record's a 1957 album and would basically be bookended by the Sonny Rollins Volume 1 and Volume 2 on Blue Note Records. But this record's kind of unique because it is a trio record, but it's kind of a unique trio record. And I would say it's not the most accessible for somebody who's not familiar with jazz because it lacks a certain structural element to it. On this record, you've got Rollins on tenor sax, Ray Brown playing bass, and Shelly Manne playing drums. All fantastic players. Normally, in a setting like this, you would have an instrument that would hold together the chordal structure and chord progressions, which would usually be a piano or a guitar, or both. In this case, you've got the bass runs by Ray Brown, kind of giving you the basic structure through the bass lines. Then you've got Sonny Rollins coming in, giving you the melody, and then improvising off the melody with the drums of Shelly Manne. So it's a very bare bones type sounding record. And so it might not, for somebody who's not familiar with jazz, somebody who's been listening to rock music, different types of popular music, might come to it and it might sound kind of open, might sound kind of, not quite as structurally engaging as maybe some records would sound coming from that type of pop rock genre. But this is a very fun record, in my opinion, a very engaging record. But there's a lot of open spaces here. And you really get to hear these 3 instruments, the saxophone, primarily in the left speaker, and then your bass and your drums primarily in the right speaker. On all 3 of these pressings, the mix is the same. You get the same, instruments and the same speakers. So I'm going to go in order here. We're going to look at these. First one is a Japan pressing. So let me show you the 3 pressings I'm going to be comparing. This is the Japan pressing. GXC3104 is a catalog number. 1979 King Records. All 3 of these are going to be stereo recordings. So that's going to be the first pressing. And this is the first pressing I ever purchased of this record. The next album is going to be OJC-2009. OJC-337 is the catalog number, and that's this guy right here. And this would be it's on a yellow contemporary label. And that was the second one that I bought. And I bought it brand new for like 18 bucks. And when the box set came out this year, just recently, I purchased the Contemporary Records box set called Sonny Rollins, Go West. And in this box set, which is 3 LPs, came the newly remastered from the analog tapes, Craft Records, contemporary label, this version, which is CR00434 Craft 2023. So those are the 3 versions that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm just going to get right down to it and talk about all 3 of these pressings and what I thought about each of the pressings. Now, I've been listening to this Japan pressing for quite some time, and I've always been very happy with it. The pressing's a great pressing. It's quiet. It's very balanced sounding and very warm sounding. So what I did was I listened to side one, I listened to the Japanese pressing, the OJC pressing, and then the Craft recording, just side one. That's the order I went. And I took a day off, came back on the third day, and I went in reverse order. I listened to the Craft side two, the OJC side two, and then to the Japan side one, so I could get different perspective on it, going both directions, and separating myself by a day so that I can give myself a time to kind of forget what I thought the first time around, you know, and kind of make sure that I wasn't biased as much as I could be. So this was a very balanced, warm sounding record, this Japanese pressing, and I was satisfied with it, you know, when I first bought it. When I put on the OJC, I noticed immediately that the cut was a little hotter, and the cymbals maybe cut through a little better, the bass cut through a little better. It was almost like it had an EQ kind of like this. If you had, you know, 7-band EQ, it was like the bass side was up, and then it kind of went like this, and then the treble side came up. So it was easier to hear the room noise and things like that. And it kind of sounded a little more engaging, the OJC, I thought. But did it sound better? You know, it's hard for me to say whether it sounded better, but it sounded different. So that's my first time running through it. The Craft records, of course, this has a little bit nicer of a jacket than the other two. It's a little thicker as far as presentation goes. This is it's black contemporary label. I thought that this was maybe a little hotter than the Japan pressing, but not as hot as the OJC. So I thought it fell kind of in the middle. It sounds about the same as the balanced, warm sounding as the Japan pressing, but the bass may have been a little more punchier. So when I went back through and then listened to it a second time, the side two, and ran backwards, I kind of thought the same way. I thought that the Craft recording had a little bit overall warmer sound than all of them. Had a little more punch to it. Maybe it was a little tad hotter than the Japan pressing. The OJC was definitely a hotter cut, had crisper highs, the cymbals cut through better, the bass sounded pretty good. I thought it was a little more engaging, but maybe a little more taxing to the ear. Now, maybe not as much as it would be on another album that had more instruments, because here there's a lot of space. And so having those highs didn't really hurt the record too much. You know, it wasn't like it was over trebly to where it was like, oh, this is kind of harsh on my ears at all. And so there's a lot of space on this record, and the saxophone still sounded nice. The cymbals still cut through very good. The bass cut through better on the OJC. And then landing back on the Japan pressing, when I came back around on side two, I kind of was like, you know what, it's not, for some reason, that volume of the hotter cut of the OJC wasn't as noticeable when I was going from the OJC back to that Japanese pressing. It wasn't as pronounced of a volume change as I first perceived going the other direction. It was still hotter for sure, but it didn't seem to be as hot as I first perceived it going through from side one on that Japan pressing to the OJC. So it was definitely a little quieter, but this Japan pressing is still a pleasure to listen to. Very warm, very balanced, and maybe it was the least hot of them all. But certainly a nice sounding record. So I tried to rank them, and it was really hard because to say which one's my favorite, because I enjoyed listening to all three of these versions. I can see why somebody would like the OJC cut the best, because it's a little hotter and you do have those crisp highs, and you can hear the room sound a little bit more than I think you can hear on the other two. Now, some people might find that more distracting. You can hear the little squeaks, you could just hear more from the room sound. I kind of enjoyed that. The Japan pressing, probably the least of that, but very warm, very balanced. And the guy that's kind of in the middle was that Craft recording, which is the new recording, which was a little bit hotter than that Japan pressing, but it had a really nice, warm, balanced sound. The bass sounds good. You could still hear the cymbals. So I guess if I had to rank them in order, if I was forced to, someone put a gun to my head, I'd probably say the new Craft recording would probably be my favorite. Probably then the OJC would be my second favorite, which would be this guy here. And then the third favorite would probably, I guess if I had to pick, it would be the Japan pressing. But it's really tough. Any of these three albums, pressings, you would probably be happy with. And they're all, this Japan pressing, I think I paid $30 for. The OJC, I think I paid right at 20, 18 bucks, something like that when I bought it. And then, of course, the Craft recording came in the box set. So that if I had to parse that out, it would be about a $30 record. So not a lot of difference in the pricing. If you like a hotter cut, more room noise, you want that a little bit more maybe engaging where you really hear the highs a bit more, this OJC is probably the one worth getting. If you want the warmer sound, very balanced, the new Craft recording in the box set is fantastic. But if I've seen these Japanese pressings online, you can get them for less than 30 bucks. This is not a bad recording either. It's a very warm, very balanced sounding. It's just maybe not quite as engaging as these other two. So that's my assessment. That's my three-way shootout. You really can't go wrong with any of these. So that's all I got today, folks. Thanks for joining me. This is a fantastic record. Go out and check it out. We'll talk to you later.